Okay, we ready to start? All right, looks like people have kind of stopped flowing in, so I'll get started. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. I'm really grateful to have all of you here. Welcome to the Purdue Hackers Callout. Yeah, I agree. There are two parts to this. The first part will take 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm just going to run you through all the things that we do. But we have this room until 8, so for the rest of the time, that will be spent, like, if you want to ask us questions, learn more about what we do, see some of the things that I'll talk about here, find out what those things are, that's what the rest of the time is for. So you can stay as long as you want, but I wanted to let you know those are the two parts to this. So with that, I'm going to tell you about what Purdue Hackers does. So Purdue Hackers is a community of students who help each other build creative technical projects. And I'll get this out of the way now. There's a common misconception that we're a cybersecurity club, but we're not. When we say Purdue Hackers and hack, we use the word hack as in hackathon instead of hack as in breaking into things. That said, there are a lot of really cool cyber people here. So if you want to do that kind of work here, you totally can. But it's not like a hacking club or a cybersecurity club. It's like a hackathon club sort of thing. So we exist because we think that making something that you're proud of is an incredible feeling. And if you've ever shipped a project that you spent a lot of time working on, that you put your soul into and you finished it and seen the results of sharing it with the world, you know how good it feels. And I think this is the best time in our lives to do it because it's we're in college. This is supposed to be the time to explore and everything, but it's actually really hard to make something that you're proud of. And I think probably more people here might relate to having an idea for a project but not knowing how to get started, or starting a project, getting halfway through and not being able to finish. It's because it's really hard to do, to actually see it through. Because you have all these things pulling you in all different directions, like academic and social obligations, and it's really hard to find the time and motivation to actually make interesting creative projects that you're proud of. So Purdue Hackers fixes this. That's our goal, is to fix this problem of making things is awesome, but it's really hard to do. So we fix this in 3 ways. PacKnit, our community, and workshops. And I'm basically going to spend the rest of this time telling you all about those 3 things. So let's start with PacKnit. So this is PacKnit. PacKnit is a hacker festival. And what I mean by that is it's like a hackathon flavored event. So if you've ever been to how many have been to a hackathon before? So probably half, 60% of you. So those of you who've been to a hackathon, PacKnit will probably feel familiar to you. It kind of feels like a hackathon, but we call it a hacker festival because unlike a hackathon, it's not a competitive event. Typically in a hackathon, you're working together in teams, you have 24 to 48 hours to build something, and then at the end you present it to judges and stuff. So PacKnit is kind of the part of a hackathon where you're building things with friends, and not the part where you're demoing it to judges. Hence the name Hacker Festival. PacKnit happens every Friday night on the 2nd floor of the Bechtel Center. It starts at 8 p.m. and it ends when the last person leaves. So typically that's at least 6 a.m., often later. But of course, most people don't stay until 6 a.m. It's like an endurance test every week. And usually we get about 80 people at PacKnit on average. But it has been getting bigger every year, so we'll see what the numbers look like this year. You will notice that PacKnit is versioned. We want to keep track of all the PacKnit events that run every week. So each PacKnit has a version number, the major version and the minor version, number. So the minor version increases every week, and the major version increases when something about the structure of PacKnit changes. And I'm telling you this now because it's a surprise tool that will help us later. So this is a little bit what PacKnit looks like. So there's lots of space to work. We have pizza every week, and then the energy feels really good. There are a lot of people, and it's a lot of fun. Every hackmate has a badge, so it may be hard, especially if you're in the back, to see this. I also have a couple of these up here. But every week, we source the material, usually some color of acrylic, make a design, and then laser cut collectibles to give out at hacknight. And each one has the hacknight version number and date engraved on it. And the idea is you can only earn each badge by coming to that event. So the people who came to Hacknight 3.10 on November 17th, 2023 got this badge. So this is every badge you've ever made. And I like putting it here, even though it might be hard to like actually see, just to see the like the variety of colors and shapes and designs and stuff. So by coming to Hacknight, and of course you don't have to take it, but by coming to Hacknight, you are welcome to take a badge as like a collectible and as like a memory of that event. And that's like one of my favorite things about Hacknight. So if you want to see the badges more like close up, you can come see me after this, and I have a couple to show you. A typical Hacknight schedule looks like this. It starts at 8 p.m., as I mentioned. The first hour is pretty unstructured while people trickle in. And I should I'll mention now, you don't have to show up at 8 p.m. It's kind of like a party. Like you can show up at 8 p.m. and a lot of people do, but you can actually show up whenever you want in the night. And there are two types of like sub-events that happen within Hacknight. There are circles and there are sessions. A circle is kind of like an organized group of people who meet every week at Hacknight to do something. That sounds pretty vague, so I'll give you an example. That picture on the right is from the spoken languages circle. So this group meets at 9 p.m. every Hacknight, and they're working on making a new spoken language. And in the meantime, they're learning about linguistics and stuff. And then historically, the 11 p.m. circle has been the programming languages circle. So this one's actually, I really love this one because it's an entire like subgroup of Hacknight who all like come out of the woodwork to like gather at the programming languages circle, and they all just like nerd out about PL stuff, and that's it. They just like read papers and talk about PL concepts. Circles are like usually loosely facilitated by somebody, but it's mostly like the group gathers together. And then there's a session. The session happens usually at 10 p.m. All these last about an hour, by the way, so they're kind of back to back. And a session can be like anything. It usually takes the form of like a workshop. So like somebody wants to teach people something that they learned, and so they run it in the form of like a workshop at 10 p.m. So an example is recently somebody ran a session on like converting images to audio. Like you give it an image, and then it turns that data into audio data, and it sounds like really awful and screechy, and it's a lot of fun, and you play around with it. And then someone else ran a session on like setting up a media server. So all sessions are like facilitated by community members, and it's really just like whenever somebody wants to run one, but they do happen every week. And then finally at midnight, there are demos. So it's kind of like, it's a little bit different from what you might think of when you think of like a hackathon demo, because hackathon demos are usually associated with like, it's at the end of the event, so it's like when you've like finished your project and are like presenting it to like people who are judging it. At Hacknight, demos mean something different. They're kind of like project check-ins. They're all optional, and they're all like, you're almost encouraged not to ship a finished product, finished project. Like it can literally be like an idea or some like, minor exploration or something, and it's very like janky and like hacky and like very low pressure, and each one lasts like 90 seconds, so they're pretty quick. So that happens at midnight. And then that's it for like events at Hacknight. The rest of it is pretty unstructured, and like I mentioned, we usually go on to like 6 or 7 a.m. So there's a lot of Hacknight after demos as well. So I mentioned the version numbers. We're bumping the major version this week, and we're running Hacknight 5.0. So that is the Hacknight that is happening this week. So I mentioned that the major version increases when something about the structure of Hacknight changes. So what has changed this time? Surprise, there's a secret other program that I didn't mention called The Show. The Show is something new, like we've never run it before, which is why there aren't any pictures here, but it's something we're gonna start running every semester. The Show is like a demo day, basically. It happens on a Sunday at the end of every semester, like close to the end, around Dead Week, from 2 to 6 p.m. And picture kind of like, you've been working on a project at Hacknight on your own throughout the semester, and then you come to the show on Sunday, you're given table space, and you can just like demo the project to people. And we invite 300 students, lots of Purdue faculty, and sponsors to the event. And like everything at Hacknight, I should also mention, at all these, none of these are like required. Like, you're not even required to like make something at Hacknight. Actually, kind of an open secret of Hacknight is a lot of people just come to hang out with their friends. Because if you actually want to like be productive, the most effective way to be productive and like, make something like in a single session is not to come to Hacknight, it's to like lock in alone. But that's not what Hacknight is for. Hacknight is for working with other people on projects and like learning things together, kind of like at a hackathon. But you can take as much of it as you want. So there are lots of people who come to HackNight and they just like spend the whole time shipping. There are some people who come to every event. They go to both circles, they go to the reading they go to the session, and there are some people who don't go to any of them. So all of this is totally optional. And it's the same thing for the show. The show is like, it is not an expectation of being in Purdue Hackers that you demo at the show or even come to the show, or spend Purdue Hackers preparing for the show. Like, it's all up to you. You're never obligated to do anything. So I want to mention that because it might feel like you're obligated to do things. And we try to push you to work on things at HackNight, share them at demos, and then eventually demo them at the show, but that is not an experience that you need to have. So I just want to make you aware of that because that is something that will be happening at the end of the semester. I wanted it to be in your mind if you choose to stay here. All right, community, our second core program. So our community is just a community on Discord, and it serves two purposes. First, it's a super large, friendly community of very kind people who are making things together and just like hanging out together. It has great vibes, great energy. It's the largest club server in the Purdue Discord Student Hub, and it's also where we post all of our events. So like, when we run a Hack Night or when we run an event that is not Hack Night, we will ping people in the Discord. So if you want to hear about events that are happening, then you should definitely be in the Discord. So that's a QR code and also a link to get an invitation. I recommend joining if you're not there already, because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of awestruck energy in there. All right, and finally, workshops. So workshops are hour-long sessions, and their goal is to introduce you to a new topic of some kind. And the idea, most workshops run, they're like standalone events, hour-long in a classroom somewhere on campus. And usually, we spend the first 30 minutes of a workshop with somebody facilitating it and like coding together and teaching you something. And the second half, you're turned loose on your own and you make changes, you like expand what you did in the first 30 minutes on your own. And so the idea is that you come knowing nothing about something, and then an hour later you have a project that is different from, that you've made your own, that's different from everyone else's, and you've learned a little bit of something that you can continue. Workshops do not have a schedule, they're very sporadic. A workshop is run when somebody wants to run a workshop. Examples of workshops we run in the past, we run a workshop on how to write shaders, we run a generative art workshop, we run a workshop on Conway's Game of Life over SSH, Shuriken Catching Game in Rust, like a ton of different game with the Godot engine. Like we run a bunch of different workshops on a bunch of different topics. And these are all facilitated by community members, so if you want to run a workshop, just come talk to us, and then we'll get it on the schedule. And you would want to run a workshop, like if you have something you want to teach to people, and like want to run it as like a branded Purdue Hackers event. So that's a little bit about workshops. And every time we run a workshop, we will post an announcement in the Discord. This is the event site. We post all of the events we run here, including workshops and Hack Night and anything else. So there are kind of two purposes to the event site. The first is if you want to like see upcoming events, we post everything up here, and then you can get an email reminder for the event. So some of you put your email in for this call out and got an email reminder for this call out. We do that for every event. But after the event ends, we turn it into like a recap page, and so you can see pictures of all of our past events. So if you want to see like actual pictures of like all the events we've ever run, every Hack Night, every workshop, you can just check out the past events section of the event site and like click through it, and you can scroll through the pictures and see some recaps. So just a tool that I wanted to make you aware of if you want to see like for yourself what Purdue Hackers actually looks like. So one thing that I hope I have kind of made clear so far, or like a vibe that I hope you're kind of catching on, is that Purdue Hackers is very like kind of you get out what you put in, and that's what this slide is for. So this slide is trying to communicate that Purdue Hackers is like, being a part of Purdue Hackers kind of feels like stepping into like a magical shared universe with a lot of like weird and wacky things going on, and that's kind of like a weird simulation of the real world. And I say like real world because you do learn like real world marketable skills by being in Purdue Hackers, but it really doesn't feel like that. It feels like you're making fun things with friends, and that you're proud of. So that's what I hope you take away from being here. And I want to share a couple things that kind of contribute to this vibe. The first is passports. So the Purdue Hackers Passport is like Purdue Hackers identification. So we need to become like a card-carrying member of the Republic of Hackerland. They're totally optional, just like everything else in Purdue Hackers. Like you never have to come to any events at PacKnit. You don't have to go to the show. You don't need to make a passport. If you do, the way you get one is you sign up for a passport making ceremony where you put it together yourself. So the only way to get a passport is to make one yourself with your own hands, with our guidance, of course. And what you can do with that is every week at PacKnit you can get a stamp that we derive from the badge. And it's kind of like a keepsake to keep with you. But the coolest thing is each one has an NFC sticker in the cover that you can scan with your phone, and then you can scan your passport with your phone to sign into websites. And then we built an API that you can use. So if you want to build a website and add like Purdue Hackers authentication, where you sign in with your passport, you can just like build that. So the goal of the passports is like, the reason I bring it up is just because I want to share like, this is the kind of stuff that makes like, the Republic of Hackerland, like the magical universe of Purdue Hackers. It's things like this. And another thing I want to share is AMAs. Which is something we occasionally run. Like occasionally we reach out to people and ask if they want to talk to us, and we run AMAs with them. This is not like a set program. We only do this occasionally. We actually have only done it once, and it was with Steve Wozniak. So this is the thumbnail from our YouTube recording of it. So if you want to check it out, you can Google it, or it's also linked on our event site if you click on the Steve Wozniak AMA. But I wanted to include this because, like, if you want to talk to like an interesting person in tech or whatever, like you can do that. Like we've done AMAs before. And also, I feel like I should mention that we've done an AMA with Steve Wozniak because I think it's really cool. Purdue Hackers is entirely opt-in. There are like no dues, no commitments. I think that's something that has been kind of being made clear. Is like you are never obligated to do anything in Purdue Hackers. There are no expectations of you by being here. We have Hack Night. We have our community. We run workshops. You can go to all of them, or none of them, or some of them. And I want to mention this because like a lot of clubs have, a lot of clubs are funded by dues, and a lot, whereas we're funded entirely by sponsors and donors in our 11-year alumni network. And a lot of other clubs also have like, what you kind of like have to apply to join, and then once you're there, you have to like commit to things, and then if you miss a meeting, you kind of fall behind. Like there's no such thing as like falling behind in Purdue Hackers. We have these things that we offer to you, and you can take it or leave it. So that's something I wanted to make clear as well. We're also open source, and I mean that in two ways. First, we literally are like all the software we build is open source on our GitHub, github.com/Purdue Hackers. But I also mean it in a meta, like Purdue Hackers organizing kind of way. The line between community members and organizers is very blurry. And the reason I bring this up is because like a lot of people ask around now, during Callout season, they find clubs that they're interested in, and they're like, how can I become an officer? Like, how can I contribute to the club? Like, how can I help organize events and stuff? And in Purdue Hackers, the answer is you literally just start doing it. And like many of our like workshops are organized by community members. All the sessions and circles are run by community members. A lot of PacKnit logistics are done by community members. And like you can just help build Purdue Hackers if you want to. And there's a lot that we need to do. So we would love your help. And so if you want to make an event happen, just pitch it to us, and we'll make it happen. And Purdue Hackers generally, you get out what you put in, and so like you can get a lot out of it by contributing events and software and whatever. But of course, you never have to. That said, we are looking for a couple organizers this semester. We're looking to add 3 designers to the team and 1 storyteller, which is like kind of a PR position. So if you're interested in learning about these positions and like how you can become an organizer, next time you're at your computer, open your terminal and type ssh.apply.purduehackers.com, and you can read more instructions about how to become an organizer. I also want to mention the Purdue Hackers blog for a couple reasons. The first thing is if you've resonated with with what I've said throughout the last 20 minutes, there's some stuff here that you might like. Like if you want to read a little bit more about our philosophy and some of the things we've made as a club over the last 2 years, there's some great stuff on the blog, and I highly recommend you check it out. But also, I bring it up because we really want to expand the blog this year, particularly featuring student projects. So if you have made or are planning to make like interesting projects that you want to share with a wider audience, we would love to work with you to write something for our blog. So That's blog.purduehackers.com. You can check it out if you'd like. All right, that's all. Are there burning questions that I can answer for like the group right now? Yeah, sshApply.purduehackers.com. Yeah. Say again? Yes, they will. Okay, so here's what happens now. And feel free to go if you want. These are all our links. We have a bunch of community members and organizers here who would love to talk to you and show you the things we made. So if you have more questions, please stick around and come chat with us. We'll be here until we get picked out or the last person leaves for the PacKnit experience. Otherwise, hope to see you at PacKnit or some of our workshops or the community. It's going to be so much fun.
If you made it this far?